Today on Locked On Rockies, the first names of the Rockies search for new members of the front office have come out. And there's an interesting one, a couple of interesting names, plus a longtime voice that you associated with the Rockies let go again. And I want to talk a little bit about that.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 15th day of October in the year 2025. I'm your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. If your team is the Colorado Rockies, then thank you so much for tuning in. We got you covered all throughout the offseason here with near daily Colorado Rockies podcasts here. Ebbs and flows sometimes in the postseason. Not like the Rockies are in the postseason, the off season, I should say. But thank you so much for the everydayers that hang out with us here. Thank you so much for making us your first listen, maybe your first watch of the day. We're free and streaming on your favorite streaming services. And of course, everyone's hanging out on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show. You can help the show grow. You can support us over on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel. If you like the show, if you enjoy the show, that is the best way to help the show grow, the best way to support the show, firing off your Rockies hot takes there in the comment section, liking the videos, subscribing. I'm, of course, Paul Holden, your Rockies fan extraordinaire, been bringing you this daily Rockies podcast for a few seasons now here, as we've been, unfortunately, on a sinking ship for a while, but that ship might have a new captain, at least in one of the quarters coming up here soon, depending on how many interviews the Rockies do, as we get our first names from the first round of interviews for GM, president of baseball operations, options potentially for the Colorado Rockies, maybe multiple positions, who knows. And unfortunately for Rockies fans, at least for me, Jerry Schemmel let go by iHeartRadio again. And this one's just, it's just tough. And hey, maybe if you weren't the biggest fan, for me, this is one that's, it's just, not only is it happening again, I like the pair. I like the duo there. It's the combo that I associate growing up with and listening to baseball. But on top of that, it serves as a reminder, and it's radio, so it's a little bit different. But I think it serves as a reminder to make sure that you support your favorite creators. And again, I'm not saying that just for here. I don't have to be one of them, but the radio world, as that's my main job. That's my day job, is as you can imagine, a very difficult place, and a very up and down place for something that it still plays a role in a lot of people's lives, especially in the world of baseball. I don't think that there's any sport more associated with listenership or just listening to and than baseball. Baseball on the radio plays a very special role for a lot of people. And again, I'm not even talking about the broadcasting. Jack and Jerry are the voice of me growing up listening to Rockies baseball. It's what me and my dad did. So I kind of want to just talk a little bit about that. And we got some comments here talking about first base and some targets that the Rockies that they'd hope that the Rockies would go for from the Locked On Rockies YouTube comment section. Before we go any further, today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. All right. We head to Purple Row because we're going to read from reporting from The Athletic. Brittany Grahuli. I just listened to this. I'm actually going to listen to it one more. I got to listen to it one more time because I want to get it right here. So it's probably going to bleed through, but that's okay. We'll make it work here. It's, I believe, Adnan Burke of MLB Tonight. Brittany Giroli of The Athletic. It's embarrassing, but anyway, Brittany Giroli of The Athletic. But it talks about some of the names that the Rockies have interviewed, and this is interesting too because if I recall correctly, and I'm going to look this up too right now, the Rockies here were just had a report from Thomas Harding, or I believe, was it a newsletter from Thomas Harding? Let me check it here. Talking about they weren't really going to release names of who they were going after. And I'm not saying that this is like a thing that the Rockies are, it should be like, oh, what's going on. I think it's good to have some of these names kind of come out and be and be heard, especially because when you look at some of the some social media reaction to one of the options for the Rockies, it could be interesting, especially when you're talking about the success that the ones that a lot of people I saw, kind of just talking about. And again, interestingly enough, the curated thing on Twitter, they're bringing this up here about James Click being one of the interviewees there, being with the Blue Jays organization for the last few years, also with the Houston Astros, being the GM of the Astros, that won the World Series after the cheating scandal here. And this is what Renee Descartes adds from, according to reporting Rockies interview at least 3 external GM candidates. And I wanted to bring this because Renee kind of brings some context to the all these candidates here. The Houston Astros hired Click in 2020 in the wake of a front office house cleaning following a cheating scandal. The Astros went on to win the World Series in 2022. However, Click left the organization that season after only being offered a 1-year contract. In 2023, he joined the Blue Jays as vice president of baseball strategy. Over at Purple Rose's sister site, the Crawford Boxes, Daniel May wrote an ode to James Click, "We miss you," in May of 2024. James Click was Houston's GM for only 3 seasons, but his contributions to the team are still being felt. In many ways, Click was the ideal GM, smart, data-driven, and not afraid to buck conventional wisdom. This is what Descartes adds here. Hiring Click would mark a dedicated shift in the Rockies front office approach. Listen, I know I can be a little bit limited in my knowledge there. I know I can be, we're all maybe not in the as locked into the behind the scenes stuff. That's the type of candidate you target, especially when you're talking about it's 3 teams that you can point to success in different areas and in different ways. Yes, the Blue Jays on the, not maybe might be, who knows what'll happen in the ALCS, but in the ALCS, the best team at home, a team loaded with sluggers, a team loaded with talent that they developed and that they acquired here, with a team that's also not afraid to get in the mix for going after and trying to get some big names and trying to bring some big names into the organization. Also, World Series champion, building with the Astros, obviously having a lot, and still from even with the in the wake of the cheating scandal, there still was a lot of talent on that team and a lot of talent in the organization, but still to be able to navigate all that, take all the off the field stuff and build that team into what has been a juggernaut and just ran out of gas this year, but was in the conversation again for another divisional title up until the end of the season. That's exciting. And then Tampa Bay is just kind of like when everybody's talking about a GM, that's just one of the buzzword teams, the buzzworthy teams of, Ray's GM works in the margins. Not since I don't know, actually, I don't know if it was Ray's GM, but works in the Rays organization. So can exploit all the inefficiencies and all that stuff. That's the type of resume that excites me. And especially when you're talking about, having in that Purple Row piece, why I wanted to pull from that was, getting some of that context of this guy. And again, the response I saw on social media, if you hand a guy like this the keys, this could be the situation that can help turn it around. And some of those situations might not point to a turn it around, but it's an embrace of, let this guy do what he does because he's been successful. Let Click cook and see what he can do with the talent, where they can develop, where they're weak. Again, evaluate. This is the type of guy that I think when you're talking about what Walker Momford says, someone that can evaluate where they're using their resources and how to use the resources more effectively. The resume of this would suggest that this is a guy that can handle it. I like that it doesn't have to be a one boom interview, one session, one thing. Let's keep talking. Let's go out and talk to more people type of thing. But this is when you're talking about trying to inject the right type of ideas and the right type of direction to go into the right type of person to bring in to lead you in a new direction. One that includes buy-in from the ownership of the team and letting him do what he's done and let him try to replicate his success as he's done in other areas and in other markets. That would be an encouraging sign. The other names don't necessarily have the same weight, I think here when you're talking about resume so far, but still some intrigue here. Back to Renee Descartes' piece here on Purple Row. And again, this is all from reporting from The Athletic there. And Scott Sharp is the next one up. Sharp, currently senior vice president and executive general manager with the Kansas City Royals, has a very different resume. After a native of Baltimore, Maryland, Sharp was drafted by the Reds in 1994, was a catcher in the Red system. Then he was a scout for 3 teams, and he joined the Royals in 2006 as an assistant director of player development, and then he has now worked his way to the front office. The front office directory, this is what Descartes pulls. Sharp has been instrumental in all facets of baseball operations during his tenure in Kansas City, focused on player development upon arrival. Sharp's responsibilities have grown to include major league operations, roster management, player acquisition, arbitration, contract negotiations, professional scouting, advanced scouting, and analytics integration. Sharp has been involved in many special projects, including the 2015 Surprise Complex renovations and the Fountains, an 88,000 square foot residential and player development facility located in Arizona. And I agree with Descartes' points here in the piece. Extensive background in player development will help a Rockies organization that has struggled in that area. But it's also just been the Royals. And that's not that's a team that's won the World Series. That's a team that's developed a lot of great players. That's a team that has been able to find success in its own ways. But it's also a long time with one team and getting entrenched there. Certainly an interesting option, but I kind of like the fact of when you're looking at what Click has done there, has been able to kind of handle not only different scenarios, but different environments, different situations when it comes to funding and finances and stuff. Now, it's interesting saying that and talking about the Royals in this situation. But I think I'm just a little bit more impressed by the on-paper resume. And then Matt Foreman here is the last name here. Someone that is started as with a career in journalism and then got into the Guardians organization and was in an amateur scouting internship. And so after the postseason run in 2016, Foreman was named assistant general manager and promoted to executive vice president and assistant general manager prior to the 2022 season. Foreman was a finalist for the Washington Nationals president of baseball operations position earlier this offseason. Descartes points out in this piece, they eventually went with the Paul Taboni instead. And so this is what I said last weekend. Thomas Harding reported that the Rockies search remains ongoing, but it is clear that they're living up to their promise of looking outside the organization. So that's true. That's, I think, one of the main takeaways here of hearing these names. These are outside the organization guys. There are no ties to the Rockies from those 3 players, and that's the right type of tone to set. Doesn't mean the Rockies' mind is made up. Doesn't mean the work is done. Far from it. But when you set the tone there and when you set the stage for possibilities like with Click, that can be interesting. And I like the fact that the first 3 names that we've heard for the Rockies connect with don't have Rockies ties. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know what you think of those names. Thank you to Renee. Thank you to Britt there from The Athletic as well. And thank you for making us your first listen of the day. We're going to take a quick break, and then I want to just kind of get a little more sentimental on you there here coming up in segment number 2 of today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before I do that, though, I want to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes Gametime. There's nothing like catching baseball live, or really any sport, any event, the energy, the crowd, the chance to see your team, your guy, your event, your band, your comedian, your play in person. But actually getting tickets, that's the tough part. Queues, login screen, surprise fees, it takes all the fun out of it. That's why I use Gametime, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. Gametime is fast, easy, and backed by the Gametime guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all the fees are included. So the price you see is the price you pay. It makes it super simple. You can see exactly where you're going to sit from the seat views available on the seats, the app there. You know exactly what you're going to see. You're going to have the fees all up in front. Everything you need to know for that last minute decision to go to that big event with your friends, the big concert, the big show, the big game. It's all going to be up front and super easy to use on the Gametime app that you can download today. Create an account and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Gametime today. Locked on Rockies here, segment number 2. Once again, thanking you for making us your first listen of the day. Check us out on the Locked on Rockies YouTube channel. Make sure you're liking the videos, subscribing to the videos, and letting me know what you want to know about this offseason. What's on your mind? What are you hearing? What do you want to discuss? Fire them off in the Locked on Rockies YouTube comment section. Hey, this I saw right before recording. It is a bit of a bummer as Jerry Schemmel laid off by iHeartRadio on Tuesday, second time in 6 years. This is from Patrick Saunders of the Denver Post, saying, "I wasn't completely shocked by the phone call as I knew other layoffs were happening in Denver," Schemmel said, "but a little surprised because I was making only 25% of the salary I was making when they let me go the first time." KOA's program director declined to comment on the decision. And nor would Tepper say whether or not Schemmel will be replaced for the 2026 season. And also he goes on to add this here. "It seems incredibly unfair," he said. "I gave my heart and soul to these broadcasts and felt like I was completely prepared every night and hopefully sounded okay. But I know life is unfair. It's unfair for others who got laid off, both in Denver and across the country. Like I tell people in my motivational speaking, when you get knocked down, you got to get back up, which I will do." Schemmel has been a voice of Colorado sports landscape for nearly 3 decades. He was the radio play-by-play voice for the Denver Nuggets for 18 seasons. He previously worked as the radio voice for the football and basketball at Colorado State and Northern Colorado. And that's from Patrick Saunders, Denver Post. Just thinks, man. I mean, again, this is just it is a real tough biz, man. That's decades. It's a lot of time. And it just a swift kind of, to come back at the reduced salary, to, prepare and be a professional every night. And I'm not going to lie. When it comes to how I consume the Rockies and how I consume a lot of the games is through listening to them. When it's an early game, when the Rockies are on, when it's the work day or when it matches up with the chores and stuff, I was listening to the games. I listened to the vast majority. I love baseball on the radio, and again, I'm not trying to make this about the quality of the broadcast or anything. I thought they were good. I thought they were always entertaining. I thought they brought stuff. They had a good chemistry there. And guys that really understood Colorado, and I thought had some good calls too. I mean, this is just one that's a kind of a seeped in nostalgia moment for me when the voices of the people that you grow up with are no longer, gonna be there. It was strange the first time, and it's strange again. And I just kind of wanted to take the time to just highlight the fact that, there are a lot of people. And this is not the first time I've done this. So, and again, this is not just a like, hey, subscribe and like the video type of thing. There are people that do a lot of great work, put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into the into the Colorado Rockies, covering the Colorado Rockies, all that stuff for people. And it takes a lot. And it stinks that sometimes it doesn't get recognized. And again, it's bigger cutoffs, and it's restructuring, and it's media. It's unfortunately how the business is going when it goes to some of the just the realities of it all. But it just stinks. So I just think, again, and this can apply to anything. If you have a creator out there, if someone is making content, making cool stuff that you enjoy on a topic that you like, make sure that you're going out and supporting them there. And it's going to be weird. It'll be interesting to see what changes and what's going to be different now for the Rockies radio broadcast as, you get used to things. But a lot of change. There's another new thing that'll be going to the Rockies. So I know I don't know. And again, I don't know how I don't, it just, we're part of, when I think of Rockies baseball, those two voices with Jack and Jerry are just the ones that'll come to mind. That'll be associated for Rockies baseball with me. Of course, you got the TV broadcast as well, but my dad liked to do the thing of have the game on the TV, put the game on the radio instead, go for that broadcast, get a little more of the atmosphere. And it's a summer night and you can hear playing on the big speakers, the big radio set there, the having the game on with the windows open. A lot of nostalgia soaked up to me, and I'm a sucker. I went into radio. I do a podcast. I'm very clearly a big fan of the art of people yakking into microphones and game commentary and stuff like that. So it was a big part of what I did. It's as I've talked about a little bit too. I mean, the Rockies being my main connection point back home. As I've been away and not living and not being able to get back to Colorado nearly as much. This is just the type of stuff that just kind of hits you a little bit, it reminds you of change and things being different. And it's also kind of tough when it's just like, well, boy, another big, another round of layoffs and another, tough go in the world of media. So I know it's a random point there, but I hope nothing but the best there for Jerry and whatever's up next. He's got a motivation. He's like you mentioned in the piece there. He's a motivational speaker, so be able to pick himself up, and get see what's next, because clearly probably plenty there. We know he takes great care of himself, so he'll be out there, I'm sure, eager for the next thing. And Rockies fans will have a more change to look at. I don't know, look forward to might be the wrong way to phrase that, or just look to see what happens next year. But man, tough phone call to get after a tough season there for Jerry, for someone that put a lot of time and effort into the team and into the Rockies there. Tough business, man. Tough business. All right, let's finish the show off with your comments. Put a bow on this one and see what's next for segment number 3. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible. And that includes FanDuel. The NFL season is in full swing, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Maybe you want to use it on, go for a Broncos sack or something, because you can take advantage of the live betting during the game on Sunday and get that $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. On props, parlays, live betting, you can see it all for yourself on the easy-to-use and secure app. It makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today. That's FanDuel.com, and download that FanDuel app. Place that first $5 bet. Make sure that it hits, and you're going to get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the FanDuel app today and get started. Locked On Rockies here, coming to a close on today's episode of the show, bringing you your free and streaming Colorado Rockies podcast and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel. Be part of the show, fire off your Rockies hot takes, and you can be part of the show just like a couple of folks are today. And we'll go through some of these comments here. And let's see. Raul says, when this is the question of how to the ideal how to address first base, how to get things going, how to fix things there. Josh Naylor, go get this man in this lineup, pay him, and he'll pay dividends for years to come. He would be awesome. He would be a great addition. He is a blast to watch. Can't imagine he is going to go anywhere near the Colorado Rockies, but I like where you're at. When we're talking about, can we nail landing our deal free agents, landing a player that could really shake things up for the Rockies, really bring a different energy? Naylor is certainly a player of that caliber. I think he is having a tremendous impact on the Mariners. Again, with playing good defense, when you're shocking the world by how good you are at stealing bases and showing that you can do things despite what your metrics or some of these things might say, being the slowest guy, but being 21 of 21 in stolen bases with the Mariners. I think Josh Naylor is a very, very impressive baseball player. Let's see here. Verlis says first base options. Dominic Smith, great contact hitter. Offer him 2 years, $33.5 million deal. Offer Arias a contract for 3 year, $45 million with a 4th-year club option. I would actually sign both of them. 3 years, that's a lot to commit to with Luis. Are we sure we want to commit to maybe up to 4 years of him for someone that might not really be anything that totally moves the needle? I don't know. 3 years, perhaps, because that could be a team control could make him enticing if you try to flip. Luke says, does Bernabel play any second base? I don't know. I don't think that would probably be the one that they would go with. Would he or Freeman be a better option than Estrada or Amador? Estrada, will kind of be fine, I think, as there, and I think Amador is a little bit too young to go fully out there. I mean, he hasn't necessarily been super exciting, but I don't think we've seen nearly enough from a guy that's pretty young and still has a lot of time ahead of him. Is Karros the opening day third base? I don't think there's any position that has a bona fide starter outside of shortstop and center field right now. I mean, I think those would be the only shortstop, center field, and catcher, I think, are the only 3 positions that are established for the Rockies. I don't even think Mickey Moniak has established himself as a for sure starter in the right field. So I think he certainly has a case for it, but I think it's got to come down to performances in spring. It's got to come down to performances in the offseason. It's got to come down to matching whatever the plan and the evaluation from the new front office is, and hope that it's on track. So I think it's a little bit too early to declare anybody at starting positions outside of Tovar, Doyle, and Hunter Goodman there. Those are, I think, the only 3 guys. And I think Beck has is carved out a spot in the lineup, but I think there should be, there will be some heat behind him there. And not not kind of like I said, kind of in that Mickey Moniak category where it's like there's certainly stuff there, but are you really willing to buy fully into that right now? And then one you mentioned here, another option. For Krim should be option 2 for first base, free agent hitter, or Condon is option 1. Didn't talk about Condon there in yesterday's episode, which I definitely should have. He's he could have a great spring, could come alive and have a good moment. I just hope that he'll be ready to be in the majors at that. The Rockies will have to see where he's at and see if he's ready for that major league jump. They've been trying to see if a lot of their guys are ready for that, to see if they're truly that major league level, or as a lot of people say, those quadruple A level players that seem to be a lot in the Rockies organization. So a player to keep an eye on, and certainly a conversation that we'll revisit there throughout the offseason. But thank you so much for your comments there. Appreciate that. Actually here, Randy says, looking at the list of potential free agents, I saw several players to choose from, so I went with the analytics route, co-pilot, and selected Kyle Tucker, solid OBS, left-handed bat who's patient and has power, right fielder, 29, decent WAR. And that was to answer the question, sign any free agent, who would you pick? So that is, that's the dream scenario. It's not the world of reality doesn't apply. It's, if you had a genie in the bottle and they said the stipulation is you can have the Rockies sign one free agent to the perfect contract, that's what Randy's answer is there. Hey, bounce back season at Coors Field for Kyle Tucker. You never know. It's happened to a lot of folks. That's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. We're free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel. Like, you could be part of the show, just like so many folks have been, just like we just read. For your second listen of the day, go check out Locked On MLB and Locked On MLB Game Night. And if you need more Colorado sports coverage, Locked On Broncos, Avalanche, Nuggets, Buffs, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services. Until next time, I'm Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.